It's the only show named after a dog that doesn't actually star a dog. Wait, that was my other show.
Minneapolis in the morning.
Coast to coast and around the world. The date is May 3rd, 2022, and hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Minneapolis in the Morning. Well, actually, I did film an episode back in February. Back then I had a spontaneous idea to do it every weekday. I don't think I'm going to try to do a frequency goal this time, because it lasted one morning. During one session with my therapist, we talked about maybe not setting goals sometimes because that feeling of not reaching a goal can be so debilitating. I'm a big fan of, big supporter of therapy and mental health support. If you follow my social medias, you know that. If Minneapolis in the Morning sounds familiar, there might be two possibilities why. First, I had a show called Amigo in the Morning, where I talked about sports, opinions, stories, and that was not the most successful venture. This show will be more focused on Minneapolis things, Minnesota things, but politics of all levels as well. Another reason why it might sound familiar is there is a show called Good Morning Minneapolis. Weirdly, I actually did see a couple on-site public media videos before this whole idea started, but I actually didn't know about the Good Morning Minneapolis name until just a few days ago. Alright, we are still in a pandemic, so whenever I do the show, I will read off some statistics real quick at the beginning. As of May 1st, we have a total of 15,368 new cases in the U.S., 0 in Minnesota, and 0 in Hennepin County. 23 new deaths in the U.S., none in Minnesota. The death toll in the U.S. is approximately 992,000 total death toll, and in Minnesota, 12,781. The forecast for today in Minneapolis is partly cloudy with a high of 58 and a low of 35. We will be covering sports, but only the local Big Four teams. Maybe we'll cover some opponent scores if it's important for a playoff race. The Twins beat the Orioles 2-1 in Baltimore to go to 14-9, and the Wild lost Game 1 of their playoff series against the Blues 4-0 in Minnesota. So that's the kind of stuff we'll do every time. COVID stats, weather, and sports. Now let's get into today's topics. This is my first episode, so I want it to be a little different. I want it to be more of a recap of what's led up to today. I'm going to start by giving you some media recommendations around town. First, I strongly recommend following Wedge Live on social media and listening to the Wedge Live podcast. It's a local podcast hosted by John Edwards, mainly about politics. I have a podcast too, but what separates the Wedge Live podcast is there's always a guest or / co-host. It's great for learning about candidates, offices, elections, local infrastructures, council meetings, and more. It's charming and funny too. One guest that was on was Melody Hoffman, who is the co-founder and writer for the Southwest Journal. So check that out, especially if you're over in Southwest Minneapolis. One thing Melody talked about was a website called Documenters. If you haven't heard of it, to my understanding, it's a site that trains you on taking meeting notes, and then you can actually get paid for watching local meetings like council meetings, committee meetings, taking notes and posting them. That's a really cool opportunity. I signed up a while ago, but I haven't been to the orientation. As for other things, I suggest just going to YouTube, searching Minneapolis elections or city council. You'll see interviews, stories, and news. For example, the other night I watched a pretty long interview with Sheila Najad, who was a mayoral candidate, and coincidentally that was done by on-site public media. One thing I'd also suggest is, if you're more into national politics, Let's Talk Elections and Election Prediction Officials. I'd say they're pretty unbiased. They might lean a little left, but they post some great predictions like president predictions, 2024 presidential predictions, Senate predictions, House predictions. Not as much House because there's so many of them, but Senate predictions, gubernatorial predictions, and not just that, but Let's Talk Elections posts something every day. So I said I wanted to recap what has led to today. So since this is my first episode, let's go over who won the city council and other offices on the 2021 ballot, whose term began last January. For mayor, incumbent Jacob Fry won. In Ward 1, Elliot Payne won. In Ward 2, Robin Wansley Warlobo won. Rachel Rainville won in Ward 3. Latricia Vito won in Ward 4. Incumbent Jeremiah Ellison won in Ward 5. Incumbent Jamal Osman in Ward 6. Longtime incumbent Lisa Goodman in Ward 7. Incumbent Andrea Jenkins won in Ward 8 and was elected council president. Jason Chavez won the open seat in Ward 9. Aisha Chugtai won the open seat in Ward 10. Emily Koski won in Ward 11. Andrew Johnson won in Ward 12, incumbent. And incumbent Lene Palmisano won in Ward 13 and was elected Council Vice President. For Park Board, Billy Menz won in District 1, Becca Thompson in District 2, Becky Elper in District 3, Elizabeth Schaefer in District 4, Stephanie Musick in District 5, Kathy Abbing in District 6, and Meg Forney, Tom Olson, and Alicia D. Smith for at-large. As for the Board of Estimate and Taxation, Steve Brandt and Samantha Spree-Stinson won. Now, our first story is actually a couple days old. Around 100 workers in an Amazon warehouse very close to here, Shakopee, Minnesota, walked out last Friday. They did this in protest of low wages and also for not getting enough time off for Eid. Listen, I'm all for this. First of all, Amazon is notorious for low pay and mistreatment. Go ahead and walk out. Bezos couldn't be where he is today without the employees. And second of all, I'm not religious, but I think freedom of religion is very important. And regardless of religion, holidays are important. It gives us time to spend with family, share food, and have fun. These are important things we can't just ignore. An example an Amazon worker used is perfect. What if you had to work on Christmas? Now, I may not be religious, but Christmas is my favorite holiday. Because of giving, being together, feeling valued and loved, and again, having fun. And sure, holidays are grossly commercialized, but welcome to the 21st century. And, well, welcome to America. I got this information from the WCCO website. Link will be in the description. In other worker news, the Starbucks on 47th and Cedar became the first in Minneapolis to choose to unionize. It's the second in Minnesota after one in St. Paul did last week. This is a win. Unions aren't one of my most versed topics, but I know they're a positive thing. Anything that helps workers get paid more, have better working conditions, and of course access to health care is worth fighting for. I didn't even talk about the teachers' strike. Maybe we'll devote a whole episode or a podcast episode to that. Fox 9 on the coverage, link in the description. We found out some disastrous news yesterday. In the case Dobbs v. Jackson, the United States Supreme Court has basically tentatively voted for a decision that would strike down Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade protects a woman's liberty to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing as a U.S. citizen, and I don't think that's overreacting. You want to allow people, the government, to dictate someone's body. That's not okay. I don't care about the biblical reasoning or pro-life BS you want to throw at people. Roe was literally decided on the right to privacy. Not even getting into is the unborn alive or not, which I don't believe it is, by the way. It's not okay to demand to know, let alone decide, someone's health and future. You know what, how about this? We have an overpopulation problem. Men 35 and older have to get a vasectomy. How do you like it? No, I don't want that to happen, because I respect personal decisions. You are messed up if you think a woman who is raped and impregnated should have to keep the baby. Even if it's from a consensual relationship, it's not your business. Let's be real, the vast majority of people who support this, and a lot of other conservative ideas and ideologies, are men, and mostly white. I'm male, but I know my position. I know if I have a family, I won't be the one carrying the baby, or getting me sick, or going into labor. I could never understand what other demographics go through, including women, and I think that's important for any man, especially us white men, to realize. And do not compare the vaccine against this argument, because vaccines not only, or it's a totally different scenario where you're going to have health problems if you don't get the vaccine, but the other thing is you have been vaccinated for literally everything else. Just don't even. The Supreme Court is a bad system. We can't directly vote for them in their lifetime appointments, but we can vote for who's responsible. This is a midterm year, and we have many offices on the ballot. Governor, state legislator, state judges, U.S. House, and over here we have county attorney and sheriff and school board elections. Use this fire to organize, to be loud, protest, yes, but also take advantage of your opportunity to vote. On to a separate note, I wrote a little thing about policing. It's kind of indirectly towards Jacob Fry's ears. I was going to read it on this, but it's kind of long to read, just looking at the iPad the whole time, so I might still film a separate video for it, but if not, maybe I'll just read it during the next episode or something. I want to end each episode with some local event notifications. I think this episode's running a little long, and it's 1 a.m. when I wrote this, and like 2 a.m. when I'm filming this. So I'll just mention the Audubon Park Spring Festival is this Saturday in Northeast. I plan on attending and hope to see you there. This has been the premiere of Minneapolis in the Morning. I hope to connect with you, talk to you, and inform. You can subscribe to this channel and watch or listen to my podcast, Jason Sellers Politics Podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at VoteSellers. Have a great Monday, or nope, Tuesday. I'm still confused because it's early morning.